Hey everyone, I'm going to give you a short, quick, and dirty kind of simple video over this learning target, which is we'll be able to use the focus and Directrix to find the vertex form of a quadratic function. So a great essential question is, what is a focus and what is a Directrix? Okay, so let's jump over here and look at that. Well, a parabola is the set of all points in a plane. So basically we have this plane and we have a bunch of points in it. A parabola is all the points in that plane that are the same distance from a fixed line and a fixed point not on the line. Take a moment and read that again. Don't just let it flow over you. Really try to commit it to thought. Okay? Is a set of all points in a plane that are on the same distance. Okay, so all these points are the same distance from a fixed line and a fixed point not on the line. So look at this right here. Okay? The fixed point is called the focus of a parabola. So we have a focus. It's inside the parabola. Okay? And the fixed line is called the directrix. That's a line outside the parabola. Look at all these little blue lines you see drawn. We see this one right here? This middle thing is the focus. The point on the parabola from here to the focus is the same distance for the point of the parabola from here to the directrix. And the same can be said over here. The distance from the focus to the point of the parabola is the same distance as the point of the parabola to the directrix. Okay, so why does that matter? Why do we care about that? Why is that important? Well, because of all these beautiful equations we get to make. Okay? Now, truthfully, in my class, we focus mainly on this set right here. So I would write down everything, but this is stuff I'm going to refer to the most. Okay? So the very first problem on the very first slide I showed you is this said, hey, given that we have a vertex at the point 3, 5, and we have a focus at the point 3, 7, can I find and write the quadratic equation in vertex form? Well, first it's important to remember what vertex form is. Vertex form is y is equal to a times x minus h squared plus k. Okay? So hopefully after you wrote all this stuff down, you're like, whoa, vertex form is basically the same thing as this. Except I changed a to being 1 over 4c. That is a crucial piece of information. The fact that I know that a is equal to 1 over 4c. Okay, since a is equal to 1 over 4c, that means that I could write the vertex form if I knew the vertex and I somehow found c. Okay, let's walk through that process I just said. Okay? So let's say I gave you the vertex. Well, what do you know the vertex really is? Well, I know for this problem it's 3, 5. But I mean, in general, what two letters represent the vertex? That's right, hk. The vertex is always the point hk. So if you're given the vertex, you are given h and you are given k. What's the only letter left you need to find? A. Alright? Well, a, we just found, is also equal to 1 over 4c. So if there is some way that you could solve for c, you could then use that to solve for a, which you could then use to plug in your only missing thing. That's where the focus comes into play. The focus is the point h comma k plus c. For this problem, it's the point 3, 7. Well, we know the focus is always h comma k plus c. So we're saying that this is really h comma k plus c. So in other words, we can say that we know h is 3. That matches up with what we did a second ago. And then we know that k plus c is 7. So then we could say that k plus c is equal to 7. Well, what do we know k is? We've already established this. We know that k is 5. So we could say 5 plus c is equal to 7. Well, then you subtract by 5 on both sides, and you know that c is equal to 2. Well, now we have c. I can find a. Finding a is easy. Just plug in c, and we can say a is equal to 1 over 4 times 2, which is just going to be equal to 1 over 8. Well, we have a, 1 over 8. We have h, which is 3. We have k, which is 5. So I can plug in all my information. I can say y is equal to 1/8 times x minus 3 squared plus 5. Bam, there's my answer. Alright, let's try another problem together. All right, this one, we have a vertex and we focus again. So right off the cuff, you should be, oh, we know the vertex. That means we know H, we know K. We know H, we know K. Oh, and we know the focus. That means we know that K plus C is equal to 0. Well, I know that K is 4, so I can say 4 plus C is equal to 0. Let's backtrack a second. I'm afraid I'm going too fast. If you know that K, if you know the focus, if you remember that the focus is always the point H comma K plus C, then you know that H is -5, which we already knew from our vertex, but that's okay. It matches up. And we know that K plus C is equal to 0. Well, we know from our vertex that K is 4, so we subtract 4 on both sides and we get that C is equal to -4. Well, then I can find A by just saying 1 over 4C, and I just found that C was -4. Well, then I can multiply and I get A is equal to -1/16. Boom! So then I'm ready to plug in. I can say Y is equal to -1/16 times 8x minus H. Now wait. If I say minus H, well, actually I'll go ahead and write it. Minus H, I'm going to make sense why I wrote it like that in a second. Double negatives, what is this really going to turn into? That's right. Okay, that was supposed to be a positive. That did not work out. All right, the fact that it's minus -5 means it's going to turn into plus 5 squared plus 4. Boom. All right, let's do another example, except this time I'm going to give you the directrix. Okay, now given that the vertex is at the origin, which I forgot to erase everything, but if the vertex is at the origin, that tells me that H is 0 and K is 0. So because the vertex is the point 0, 0. Okay. The direction is Y equals 5. Why is that helpful? Well, go back to your notes that we took earlier. We know that the directrix is equal to Y equals K minus C. So we know that the directrix is really Y equals K minus C. Well, if Y is K minus C and Y equals 5, I can take this 5 and I can substitute in for that Y. So I can say 5 is equal to K minus C. Well, from the vertex, I know that the K value is 0. So this is 5 is equal to 0 minus C. Well, then I know that 5 is equal to -C. So I just divide both sides by a -1. And I get that C is equal to 5. -5. So then I can find that A, because I know A is equal to 1 over 4C. So 1 over 4 times -5. So I know that A is equal to -1/20. So then I know that I can write my answers down as being Y is equal to -1/20 times X minus H. Well, what is H in this problem? 0. Does minusing 0 really do anything? No. So why do I even need to write this parentheses? I don't need it because there's nothing inside the parentheses. There's no shift left or right. So X squared. And then plus K, well, what is K? 0. So do I need to write anything else there? No. So boom, there's my answer. Okay, guys, that was a short and dirty video over vertex based on, over writing the quadratic equation in vertex form based on the directrix and based on the focus. If you have any questions, send me an email, send me a remind, hit me up over Canvas. Whatever question you need to ask, make sure you get asked. All right, guys, see you tomorrow.